Mm. Mm.
Breaking news this afternoon.
Oh, okay. And we are back. Okay. Yeah, let's say hello for what's up, Patrick? Yeah, I feel like this week has been a very I want to say it's like bad, but it's been very slow. There's not really a lot of stuff to talk about this week. But thankfully, I don't know. I'm gonna make some stuff. I'm gonna do with what I have from this week. It's been a very slow week. Um, on the side of the MTA, our first story is the MTA fare hikes. This MTA fare hike goes for not just Metro North, but it also goes for the LIRR. It goes for buses, like express buses. It also goes for subways as well. And so now subway fares are going to $3. I think express bus fares are going to $7.75, and there's a 4.4% fare hike for both the LIRR and for Metro North. So the fare hikes are continuing. Again, it's good that we're keeping up with inflation. So, sure, in that case, but at the same time, and this is what I've said before, when it comes to paying for public transportation, um, I'm not sure if we want public transportation to, or if we, I'm not sure if we want specifically low income people to feel the negative impacts of inflation as much with public transportation, since, I mean, we don't really feel the negative impacts with the police department or the negative impacts with the fire department. I mean, sometimes we do, but overall, Brightline West is, yeah. So that's yeah, I'm gonna cover that in a future video when I come back to Brightline West. But as of now, right, Brightline West is essentially exactly what I've been saying they were for like the past year now. Even before that, honestly, even talking about California High Speed Rail, and I mentioned Brightline West and some of the issues that they'd run into. Um, yeah, I think right from a private company point of view, what Brightline West is and how Brightline West acts when it comes to getting funding and actually starting up projects and stuff like that, or starting up their project, Brightline in general, starting up their projects, the way they act is if everything's fine and peachy, um, and that's okay because from their point of view, right, they're trying to get funders, right? So even if you have to kind of lie a little bit and your financial situation isn't that good, um, that's the only way they're going to get funders. They can't come out and say like, "Oh yeah, we really need money, and we're not going to, you know, we can't build any of this stuff, or whatever." They can't come out and actually say that. But and it is the public who are looking at these projects and thinking like, "Hey, like this project is great. It's gonna do way better than California High Speed Rail, way better than all this other stuff, right? Way better than Amtrak." But then the reality of the situation is they're all fighting over the same money, so there's not going to be that much of a difference. Yo, what's up, Sunrail? But yeah, I think the real issue is well, the real issue is the same as every other issue when it comes to California High Speed Rail and Amtrak. Brightline West is in the same boat. And that's something I've been saying for years now. And, when we see what Brightline Florida, when the mask was taken off and it's literally, Brightline Florida is literally just Amtrak, or the mask is taken off with Brightline West and it's literally just California High Speed Rail. I mean, personally, I'm not really surprised. I'm not really shocked. I'm not like, and it's not like, I guess it just doesn't phase me at all. It's just sort of just like, yeah, this is some of the stuff that's happened. And yeah, the ridership projections are too optimistic. And yeah, but I think because of that, or like I said, the reason for that being is because they're a private company and their rider projections are really optimistic, but that's because they have to entice investors into actually putting their money into their project, which wouldn't happen if they were to actually put out realistic numbers. That's the reason why Brightline Florida is where they are right now when it comes to when it just comes down to like their actual financial situation. Their ridership projections are nowhere close to where they should be at, and the reason for that is because they just their projections started out a lot way too high. All right, but I think we should get into some of these stories real quick, and then because I have one, two, a couple of short stories that are like maybe like 40 seconds long, what I'm saying, like not too long, but I think we should get through some of these. And yeah, honestly I'm about like a week behind in editing the older live streams into videos, but I'll probably catch up. I'm also a week behind on the main channel, but that's generally because I just like uh, I guess I was trying to find motivation to complete some of the videos for those. But all right.
Afternoon, the MTA just voted and approved the proposed fare hikes that raises subway and bus fares by 10 cents to $3 per swipe. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles live in downtown Brooklyn with the latest. Darla?
Good afternoon, Sandra. Strap hangers should know that the fare hike is official, that the executive board just within the last 10 minutes took the vote, making that increase official here at the Transit Authority office in downtown Brooklyn. And let me show you exactly what the fare hikes will look like. For subway fares and bus fares, it's going up 10 cents from $2 to $3. Express bus fares, that will see an increase of 25 cents from $7 to $7.25. And LIRR and Metro North riders, they will also see a fare increase. Those fares will be going up 4.4%. Now, this is the first fare hike for the MTA in the last 2 years. The last time this happened was in September of 2023. The new fares will take effect in January of 2026. And the MTA just proposed these fare hikes back in December, and they had an extensive 6-week public comment period. And after that, they made some adjustments to the fare hike, which they just voted on within the last hour.
Oh, damn, I just realized I don't have chat on the screen. 1 second. Yeah, I gotta put chat back on screen. Right? Hold on. Oh my gosh. I'm blind. Bro, this is confusing me now. Okay, there it goes. Yeah. All right. Okay, there it goes. I'm also gonna move it too, cause it's a little too small. Look, I feel like this should be good. All right. Okay. Back with chat on the screen. All right. Okay. We're good now. We're good.
Increase.
All right,
Those fares will be going up 4.4%. Now, this is the first fare hike for the MTA in the last 2 years. The last time this happened was in September of 2023. The new fares will take effect in January of 2026. And the MTA just proposed these fare hikes back in December, and they had an extensive 6-week public comment period. And after that, they made some adjustments to the fare hike, which they just voted on within the last hour.
Little perspective. Over the last 10 years, MTA fare increases have dramatically lagged inflation, and are even less than our wage increases by a lot. So while we take these changes seriously, we don't do fare increases casually, and it showed in the substantial outreach that we initiated. We actually went out and met the riders where they are, at our bus stops, at our subway stations, at our commuter rail stations. And you know what? It was an unprecedented success.
Now, there was a lot of discussion this morning about affordability for riders. The MTA did note that some of its initial proposed changes, they did roll those back just a little bit. This was not a unanimous vote. Two of the MTA board members abstained from the vote, not endorsing this fare hike. We'll have much more about this coming up tonight on Eyewitness News at 6, but it's also important to note for some strap hangers that the Metro North card, they're going to discontinue the sale of those starting December 31st. You can still use yours, but you won't be able to buy them anymore. They're completely moving forward to the Omni digital system. But again, right now, MTA.
Yeah. So I think I forgot what the original plans were for the fare hike, but they were extremely aggressive, and people were like, they kind of like met the public halfway, which, you know, I guess is all right. But yeah, I think this kind of leads to the issue where it's like we're having rapid fare hikes, not just for like the trains and for the subways and for the buses, but also for like the regional rail as well. And it's just kind of it's just it just kind of sucks altogether. It just kind of sucks because I think overall, right, it is good to see that we have congestion pricing and we have that type of stuff. But at the same time, you know, congestion pricing was supposed to be at $15 and then it got lowered to $9, which is peak hour service. And then you have like or not peak hour service, but like you have like the lowest price like to come into the city, during when it's not busy is like $2 or something like that. Something really cheap when you compare it to actually driving, when you compare it to actually taking public transportation into the city. And overall, it's just kind of like it's still that type of ideology of where we're still low key incentivizing people to drive over taking public transportation. So that just kind of sucks all together. But anyways, we're going over to BART. BART is making their trains longer, so that's kind of nice to see. Ridership is somewhat bouncing back in a way. Still not back to pre-pandemic or anywhere close, but BART was struggling for a while there. So let's go ahead, see what's going on.
Starting today, you may see some longer BART trains on your commute. BART says that it's adding more cars to keep up with a recent surge in ridership.
Crowd 4's Stephanie Rothman explains how this may help stave off the looming budget crisis.
On BART's Yellow Line, the busiest in the system, which runs from Antioch to SFO, the number of cars available has grown from 8 to 9. BART is also extending some trains on the red, blue, and green lines. BART spokesperson Chris Filippi says each line will now feature 4 8-car trains in the peak morning and evening hours.
We're hopeful that as we continue to expand capacity, that gives potential riders one more option to come back to us because they know that they'll be comfortable when they ride BART.
According to the agency's data, BART's ridership in August increased by 10% compared with a year ago. And the agency saw the highest single-day ridership numbers of the year earlier this month. BART says on-time performance also increased to 94% last quarter. So why are more people taking BART?
Everybody who shows up at BART gets to ride a new train. They're doing it in a safer and cleaner system with a more visible safety presence, with new fare gates that have transformed the station environments, that are a deterrent against unwanted behavior. And it's even easier for paying customers to get into the system now because they don't even need a Clipper card.
This comes as BART is facing a significant budget deficit that could grow to $400 million by 2027 if they don't receive serious financial assistance. BART is awaiting a multi-million-dollar loan from the state and Governor Newsom to sign the Connect Bay Area Act, which will fund Bay Area transit via a tax measure on the November 2026 ballot.
If SB 63 does move forward and it is approved by voters, that's going to make a huge difference in terms of dealing with future deficits. And that, combined with increased ridership along with cost-cutting measures, is what we would use to close that deficit going forward.
BART has until next May to approve its 2027 budget. Reporting in San Francisco, Stephanie Rothman, KRON 4 News.
Yeah, so things are looking interesting for BART altogether. I think they're in a similar position to most transit agencies in America right now, but I guess I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. They're in a similar position. I don't feel like, I think for me, I've been hearing about BART's financial woes for years now. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so they've been struggling, scraping by for a while now, even pre-pandemic. So, you know, the fact that they're even like, they're not at SEPTA level of dysfunctionality is kind of crazy. But, you know, it's actually kind of impressive. I'm not going to lie. But, yeah, so, you know, hopefully that bill goes through. Hopefully that goes through. That tax measure goes through, because if it does, then that can actually be some sustainable funding. This is not like, you know, like funding that's going to dip up and down and stuff like that. This is going to be a lot closer to what BART actually needs to get by. If they don't get it, yeah, I don't know. If they don't get it, then I don't know. Then there goes BART, I guess. All right, let me see. Next story is, oh yeah, all right. So next story, back to New York. I don't know why I did it like that, but we're going back to New York. Very short story. Let's go.
A major announcement today from the MTA. Starting October 6th, Metro North Super Express trains will run alongside the Hudson Line between Poughkeepsie and New York City.
Metro North will have improved travel times on all 6 Super Express trains from Poughkeepsie. 5 trains will make the trip under 90 minutes. And between Grand Central and Poughkeepsie, these are the fastest times in Metro North history.
Also today, good news for golf fans heading to Long Island for the Ryder Cup. Governor Hochul says today through Friday, 8 additional eastbound LIRR trains will be running every day, and 9 more trains will be having service on
all 6.
Yeah, anyways, I don't know about all that golfing stuff, but anyways, yeah, so the Super Express train has been something that I think the Connecticut Department of Transportation implemented first, or pushed for first, and that's kind of like now spread out to more of Metro North's rail lines. So now the Hudson lines also have Super Express trains. I really want, or I'm waiting for that moment where we can have actual good like transportation between Albany and New York City. Right now, you know, we do have the Empire Corridor, and it is good, but it needs. I feel like we need to like make it, one, faster, but then also increase the capacity for it, because tickets sometimes between those two cities are not the cheapest. You know, they could be a lot better. Especially between the largest city and the state capital. You know, I feel like we could do a lot better in that case. But yeah, no, it's good to see that there has been a shift to making public transportation faster between New York and surrounding cities, the smaller cities as well. I mean, it's useful for commuters altogether, and it also takes off a lot of pressure from Amtrak, which Amtrak, like I said before, seems to be struggling. And when it comes to actual trains and capacity for Amtrak, like if we even think about like the Acela or whatever, there are certain Metro North trains that are faster than the Acela timetable wise. So, you know, there's a lot of improvement to go all around, but it is good to see that Metro North is not afraid to kind of step up and take that spot. All right, the next one, we have MARTA Ghost Bus. So
New at 10 MARTA riders are reporting.
So, all right, so Ghost Bus. I've actually talked about this. Did I talk about this in, I think like maybe the first stream? I think I talked about this the first stream. But Ghost Bus is essentially when you have a bus that is slated to show up at a certain time, and it's slated to show up like not just like on the timetable, but it also shows like GPS wise, like, okay, well, it's supposed to be right here, and then it just doesn't show up at all. And so apparently MARTA is going through this issue. Well, they kind of created this issue. So people who take MARTA are going through this issue. I know that it's something that happens to a lot of transit systems across the U.S. When it's like not just like the MTA. I know like the MTA goes through this issue, but other transit systems that I've actually like had to like take for a while, I realized that they kind of sometimes have the same similar issues. Depends on like how long you're or how often you're taking these buses or trains. They also happen to trains as well. But sometimes, you know, a train or a bus that's supposed to show up just doesn't show up, you know? And it's worse for a system like MARTA because the services are not as frequent as they probably should be. And so if that bus doesn't show up, then you're most definitely not going to make it to work on time or to wherever you need to be on time. And so that was my main thing when I was talking about public transportation in New York City. Even though the frequency for buses are a lot, they're a lot more frequent in most cases, depending on what bus route it is. But in general, probably around like 15 minutes is probably like the average. And because you have some routes that are around 10 minutes or 5 minutes, then you have some routes that are like around 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes. So just in general, when it comes to missing a bus because that bus doesn't show up, it's really devastating for you as a consumer, right? And so again, like it kind of goes back to that same thing when I talk about fare box recovery, and you want people to pay their fares, but you can't do ghost bus. You can't not show up because that people are not gonna want to pay for that.
Reporting big headaches with so-called ghost buses. It's their biggest complaint in a new study out today. The buses appear on the schedule and on the app, but they're still canceled, leaving riders stranded. Tonight, Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo is at Lindbergh Center talking with riders and diving into the data.
Well, MARTA bus riders tell us they are sick and tired of buses either showing up way too late or just not showing up at all. We're taking a closer look at the numbers. Taking the bus to get around Metro Atlanta is tough if the bus never shows up. Has the bus made you late for work?
Numerous times.
And you're left at a bus stop wondering, will this bus show up or not?
A new report from Propel ATL finds that ghost buses are riders' biggest concern with MARTA.
Ghost buses are essentially buses that are scheduled to show up at a particular time. You show up to a bus stop and that bus never shows.
Jeremiah Jones is the organization's advocacy director. They found in the last month, 77% of riders miss something important because of MARTA bus issues. Publicly available data shows on any given day, at least 100 MARTA buses are canceled. Software developer Chad Etzel, who lives in Roswell, started compiling the data.
For a lot of cancellations, depending on the day.
Etzel built an app called Terminus, meant to make finding MARTA schedules and stations simpler. He notes ghost buses weren't counted in his numbers because they weren't ever officially canceled.
We shouldn't have to use third-party developers to be able to see the numbers of how many buses are canceled. Because if you go to the MARTA website, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
A lot of times it is annoying because you can't tell the time when buses are canceled.
A MARTA spokesperson says they haven't been able to look over Propel's report yet, but they're in the middle of a plan to overhaul the entire bus network next April, quote, with a focus on increased frequency and reliability.
So when it comes to bus redesigns, MARTA is also going through a bus redesign similar to the one that similar to the Queens bus redesign and similar to the one from Akron, Ohio. But again, my same comments to bus redesigns. They are very beneficial for transit systems and sometimes beneficial for the people themselves. But again, when it comes to like a city like Atlanta, which is a very large, right, has a strong taxpayer base, a bus redesign, while useful, still doesn't mean that they can get away with not building, stuff like the Beltline or building, like actually building rail transportation or high capacity transportation, because that's generally the excuse that these transit agencies use. It's like, hey, well, we did a bus redesign or whatever, and then they don't actually really go for or really try to push for more rail transportation. Now, MARTA is in a weird position, again, because they don't receive state funding. So, that's a weird position to be in. But I still don't think that doesn't mean that they can't actively push for better rail transportation.
Also plan to roll out a new website and app with better bus tracking.
The biggest takeaway that we found from riders is that they just want a reliable bus. Everyone in the city benefits when buses run well. We reduce car traffic.
And both Propel and MARTA tell us they will sit down together.
Why do they cut people off like that? Why does the news cut? Why does the news cut people off like that?
This report, reduce car traffic. And both Propel and MARTA tell us they will sit down together to go over this report and ultimately whatever recommendations the organization has. At Lindbergh Center, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
Bro, I'm not going to lie. His audio is all messed up. But anyways, we're going to Detroit next. I don't know why we went back to... All right.
The next stop in a...
All right, so going back to Detroit next. This story of... What is going on with the Detroit People Mover? Like, the Detroit People Mover is... keep on hearing stories about it, planned extensions and stuff like that. And I guess I kind of know, like, all right, they're planning stuff and they're studying stuff, but reality is, like, do we really think that this is going to, are they really going to do this? You know what I'm saying? even if the Detroit People Mover study came back as like a, oh, we should definitely extend the People Mover to this place or whatever. I don't I feel like there's not enough, one, political will, but then also like will from Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Like themselves. Like I don't think there's enough will at all to actually extend this stuff. And maybe I might be wrong, but so far they got a streetcar, and even the streetcar has been like a point of contention. So I'm not really sure. What's up, Brian?
Possible expansion of the Detroit People Mover underway tonight.
The city launching a study to explore short-term fixes and a long-term expansion for the nearly 3-mile monorail.
The study covers a more than 7-square-mile area, including Eastern Market and Corktown, and you can make your voice heard.
7 News Detroit reporter Demetrius Sanders shares how. He's also speaking with DDOT and riders, learning what they hope this study will accomplish.
Since the 80s, the People Mover has helped people get around downtown, but as the landscape of downtown has changed, so have the needs of passengers. And through a new...
Wait 1 second.
To explore short-term fixes and a long-term expansion for the nearly 3-mile monorail.
The study covers...
He almost got away with that, too. Almost got away with that. He was so close to getting away with that. Oh my gosh. Like, it was just kind of like, I was like half listening and I was reading chat, and then I heard monorail briefly pop up. And yeah, he almost got away with that one. Monorail? Monorail. See, this is where I go like do I even like, there's still useful stuff in this news report. I'm pretty sure even this map of where they're planning to extend the system, very useful stuff. But monorail, monorail is crazy. Why did he say monorail? This is not a monorail. It is on one track, but it's not a monorail though. All right, I'm just gonna...
3-mile monorail.
The study covers a more than 7-square-mile area, including East...
All right, let's look at this map, though. Let's actually look at this map. 1 What am I looking at right here? Chat, what am I looking at? What? So this right here is the people mover. What am I looking at? These are the quote unquote bus routes, like the BRT routes. I assume is what they're trying to do. This is not a good map, and honestly, it's because it's so low quality. I can't even tell what I'm looking at. Okay, okay. Oh, is this the normal? This is just the normal map. Oh, this is just a normal map. I thought this was like an extension map, man. All right, bro. I thought this was like, okay, this is just a study area. Even the study area doesn't seem. I mean, okay, this is Detroit, but you know, yeah, no, this is just the same. It's just the same map. I'm looking at it like oh wow, so they're really planning on these new extensions and stuff like that. No, it's just literally just the same map. This is a study area map. Okay. I was expecting the study area to be a little bit larger than this. I understand that this is supposed to be like Detroit, you know what I'm saying, and then Wayne County. So like we're not taking any other areas outside of that, but I was expecting this to be a more expansive project, you know?
Eastern Market in Corktown, and you can make your voice heard.
7 News Detroit reporter Demetrius Sanders shares how. He's also speaking with DDOT and riders, learning what they hope this study will accomplish.
Since the 80s, the People Mover has helped people get around downtown, but as the landscape of downtown has changed, so have the needs of passengers. And through a new study, leaders are hoping to improve this service for years to come.
Bye.
Whether it's frequent or every now and then, you can find people choosing to take Detroit's elevated train, the People. Frequent or every now and then, you can find people choosing to take Detroit's.
Was that real? Why did that feel so set up? Why did that feel set up for the camera? Why? Like, was that like a real like interaction? Is this real, or are these people actors, or are they real people?
Whether it's frequent or every now and then, you can find people choosing to take
I think her smiling at the camera at the end threw me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, wait a minute. Wait, do people actually use this? I think they do. I've seen separate videos that were outside of this news reach of people actually using the Detroit People Mover. And isn't it also free? So like, obviously people are gonna use it, even though it doesn't really go many places other than, you know, you got the hotel, you got like office buildings, office towers. Yeah.
Elevated train, the People Mover.
When I do ride it gets me where I need to go. I work downtown, so most of the time we walk, but for this one it was convenience going from our work building to go to a concert down here.
The People Mover was designed in the 70s, a time when Robert Kramer, CEO of Detroit Transportation Corporation, says downtown had a much different feel than it does today.
Office district, not a lot of residents, not as many sports teams and events. And really, I think the biggest impetus is the continued growth of downtown as a residential neighborhood.
With that in mind, an $800,000 system plan and downtown mobility study is underway. The goal, to find out how the People Mover can better serve its riders. This includes looking at actions that can be taken relatively soon.
Could be as small as renaming stations, doing wayfinding, maybe adding or subtracting a station, maybe even improvements to allow two-way travel. 'Cause right
Okay, so that's why the study improvement was so short. Okay, the study improvement was short because, okay, the study zone area or whatever was like short, and it was small because it's not meant to like really expand the system that much. It's meant to just like do small improvements. And look, and I think honestly, same thing like you said, Ryan. I think we need that commuter rail or regional rail type of system, because even though they had it briefly, and then they were like, nah, we don't like this, let's go back to cars. I feel like, they should, still consider having that regional rail system out. What I really want a train line between Chicago and Toronto. I want that back. Maybe even using Michigan Central, but then you can have take that part that the current Amtrak Wolverine goes to, and you can make that a commuter rail line or regional rail line again. But one can dream.
Now it's a one-way loop.
The study will also dig into longer-term improvements, like possibly bringing the People Mover to new areas.
Maybe expanding the entire footprint of the loop, or even adding some spurs out to some major development areas. So everything's on the table.
For the community's input, a new online survey has been launched asking questions like...
Hold on, chat. What are we doing?
For the community's input...
Okay, how often do you ride the following? Okay. Q-Line, Buzz, Smart Bus.
A new online...
Okay.
Online survey has been launched.
How easy do you find it traveling around downtown Detroit? Easy, no neutral, somewhat challenging. Or some ways, okay. Where do you wish the Detroit move? Okay.
Asking questions like, how easy...
Tell us why you chose this location. Seamlessly integrated, connected to more key places and spaces, grid sustained.
Is it to travel around downtown Detroit?
Do you think... What? Do you what?
Been launched, asking questions like, how easy is it to travel around downtown...
With these, do you agree with these goals? Do you think something's missing from these? Okay.
Detroit, and if there's location.
I'm not gonna lie. It's not ambitious. It's not ambitious enough for me. It's just not. Like, there needs to be some more ambition again. Bring back American ambition. What is this? What are those goals? Those goals are like, again, like, they're very tangible, but maybe too tangible. Maybe we need to like reach outside the box just a little bit more.
Locations you wish the People Mover was better connected to.
What are the things that the People Mover is doing for you, and what are the things you would want to get out of some sort of future improvement? And that's really why we're here, is to move people.
And while most we spoke to say they enjoy their rides, there are some things they'd like to see enhanced.
The herky-jerky part could work a little bit better. Get rid of the jerking around a little bit.
Now the goal is to have the study...
What? Why did he add that little bit back? All right, I'm off this report. No, let me get his name, and he can finish out the report real quick.
Be completed sometime next year. Demetrius Sanders, 7 News Detroit.
Thank you, Demetrius, for that.
Well, that tragic incident.
All right, so now going back to honestly where we ended up with the last video. So we ended up with the last video around subway surfing because, well, no, we didn't end up. We ended up around kids playing on tracks because, we got a little off topic and everything. But all right, subway surfing is a big issue in New York. Everybody wants to be Spider-Man, and then they don't end up. Well, they don't end up looking too super afterwards. And so this is a major issue, typically with kids around like 14 years old, honestly. This is like a very like middle school, early high school type of activity. And it's an issue. It's a really big issue. And I don't really understand it. Even when I was a kid, like, hey, bro, like subway surfing it's stupid. Not even on some like really cool thing. Like when I was a kid, I would see like kids subway surfing and stuff like that. I never thought it was cool, and nobody, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like most of my friends didn't think it was cool either. You know, and like these are like the same like middle schoolers who are like, you know, reckless and like talk back to like, you know, just adults in the street. Yeah, you know, but still kind of having the common sense of like, if you subway surf, like you're not the brightest out there. You're not the not the brightest light bulb in the room. So, but yeah, let's watch this.
Happened here behind me at this subway station on Marcy Avenue Station here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. But I did get the chance to speak with the president of Passengers United about safety concerns and ideas to combat subway surfing. 2 teenage girls lost their lives early this morning after what investigators are calling a subway surfing incident at the Marcy Avenue Broadway station in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Police say it happened around 3 a.m. when the girls were unconscious on the tracks. They were pronounced dead at the scene.
The stupid things that people do for a viral moment.
Commuter Savannah Spirit, who rides the Marcy Avenue line every day, says the danger feels too close to home.
I would recommend not doing that because inevitably you're going to die. It's just suicide.
She says subway surfing has become a tragic trend pushed by what's popular online.
And I blame social media and the internet. So I think that it looks like a cool thing to do. And so they try it out and then inevitably they get killed.
So far this year, police have stopped more than 100 riders from subway surfing. Since 2023, the NYPD has...
Like, I'm just like, even like, bro, like, this is just not cool. It's actually lame as hell. Like, honestly, it actually is hella lame. Cause like, the issue with subway surfing and why as a kid I always thought it was lame wasn't particularly because of like how dangerous it was, or like, oh, the fact that, well, yeah, it wasn't really because of the fact that you can get killed or how dangerous it is, but just the fact that like kids will do this, you know, rush hour, something like that. Like when you're trying to get to school or trying to go home, typically when you're trying to go home, and then like now your train is like stuck for like 2 hours because, you know, people want to do this stuff and they get killed. And I was like, okay, well now we have to wait for NYPD to carry your body off the tracks. And thank you for that. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the type of stuff you have to realize, right? Like the rest of the world is going to keep on moving around you even if you're dead, you know, which is the unfortunate part that I think a lot of kids don't really realize this stuff. It's like, okay, I'm going for a viral moment. I'm going to be viral, all that type of stuff. But the reality of it is like, it's not worth it. Cause like if you die, like, you know, the rest of the world's going to keep moving, but you also stop the world for a minute and then you just make everybody more upset, you know? And so it's just like, there's so many different places you can, like, New York City doesn't have a lot of parks. That's the main issue about this stuff. We don't got parks. We don't got things to do for kids a lot of the times. And then doing this, you know, like running on top of trains and stuff like that is what, you know, it's like, okay, this is my entertainment. I'm going for this viral moment on TikTok or whatever. And the reality of it is just like, well, you just seem lame. You're just lame. It's like, that's bad clip farming, you know? It's bad clip farming. This is maybe it's a culture of clip farming where it's like that type of like, even if it's bad publicity, you know, I'll take it. You know, it's that type of ideology that's getting baked into kids' minds. But yeah, exactly. Might as well go play on the interstate because it's just like, this is like, like you can see they're already struggling to stand and walk on this train right here, you know? And so it's just like, you know, you are really looking to get killed. But the thing is, this is also why I've been like, I don't understand why the MTA hasn't been pushing for open gangway trains more. Like, why are we still doing, you know, like we should be having open gangway trains more because open gangway trains stop this stuff and this type of activity from happening, because they can't crawl out between the doors. They literally have to go to the end of the train, which they would have to go through a cab, like a control cab. They would have to go through a control cab and then climb up the back of a train, which is just not going to be possible. One, because the control cabs are typically locked, and then also two, like climbing up the back of the train is a lot harder to do than climbing up the middle. So it's like why don't we have more open gangway trains? Like it just doesn't make that much sense.
Has been deploying drones to stop subway surfers, spotting them from above in real time and allowing officers to stop trains at the next station to safely remove riders before they get hurt. Year to date, at least 3 people have died subway surfing.
We're devastated.
Charlton D'Souza is the president of Passengers United. He says he would like the NYPD to secure the doors between the subway cars and urges people to use the emergency intercom to report passengers walking between cars.
We want New York City Transit to put a lock on the doors, mechanism to stop to allow that wouldn't allow the young people to climb up.
The MTA and NYPD are.
They did have a well, that would be dangerous. I don't think that they should be locking the doors between the cars, because that would, in case of an actual like emergency right away, that would be really dangerous. But they did do this trial where they put these like these rubber bars over between the train cars, like right here where he's climbing out of. They put these rubber bars up here, and then so that you can't literally like hoist yourself up and start subway surfing. So they did do that for a while. I don't know if those are still installed on trains, or if they took it down because it didn't work, or if it was just too expensive or whatever. But the reality of it is, like, the real situation that they need to get into is just doing open gangway trains, because that completely removes this from even being able to happen. So not only are we actually adding some type of service improvement, some tangible service improvement, but we're also stopping this type of dangerous behavior from happening. Yeah, it's definitely tragic.
Pleading with riders to speak up and stop the trend before more lives are lost. We received this statement from NYC Transit President Demetrius Critchlow saying, in part, quote, "It's heartbreaking that 2 young girls are gone because they somehow thought riding outside a subway train was an acceptable game. Parents, teachers, and friends need to be clear with loved ones. Getting on top of a subway car isn't surfing, it's suicide." And the investigation is ongoing. Police are urging folks that no viral or video moment is worth risking your life.
Yeah, they just need to do more about that type of stuff. And here's another story. Let me see right here.
Have you ever heard of the popular app called Subway Surfers? It's a game where players have to run and jump on top of and out of the way of some fast-moving trains. It's also something you may have seen in the movies. You know, you think of big action actors, but you might not know that it's also a very real thing and very dangerous. It's a stunt that some kids do. By the way, of course, it's illegal. It's dangerous, and it can and has been deadly.
I do want to say this like quickly, because this is not like a new phenomenon. Like, kids have been doing this since like the 80s. It's not like something new. And so I think there is a point where like the news is kind of I guess acting as part of the issue, because the news is doing this type of stuff, and like, you know, like posting these types of stories constantly. And so like obviously you're telling kids not to do something, they're gonna do it anyways. And so I think they're adding to the issue. But when it comes to like subway surfing, the kids have been doing this since like the 80s. It's not like some type of new it's literally those damn phones type of thing. Like it's not like this is something new. It's just something that people have actually been capturing on their phones more, so it's actually being recorded more. So now it's just like, yeah, just being more of a visible issue.
By the way, of course, it's illegal, it's dangerous, and it can and has been deadly. It has become a rising problem for the New York City Police Department, and they're now taking to the sky.
Oh, yeah, he thought that was Aura right there. He caught that direct. He was like, Aura, you see how cool I am? He caught that.
It has become a rising problem for the New York City Police Department.
Yeah, nah, he definitely think he cool. Nah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, he called it back like it was like I don't know, like he thought he was in like Hogwarts or something like that.
And they're now taking to the sky to try to stop this tragic trend. Anna Schechter, our senior coordinating producer for CBS News' Crime and Public Safety Unit, got a behind-the-scenes look and joins us now. Anna, this is.
The iconic.
What just happened? What just happened? What happened to her? Why?
The scenes look and joins us now. Anna, this is.
The iconic New York City subway system is known as the heartbeat of the city, connecting the dots for millions of
I don't know. She could be like sick or something. She could be out that day. I don't know what happened right
riders each day. But running such a massive system comes with major security issues.
Every week we're seeing subway surfers when they're out there. And more importantly, we know they're out there surfing because the public's calling us. We're getting 911 calls saying, hey, there's people on top of the train.
In the last 3 years, there have been 16 deaths and 20 people severely injured. That's according to the New York City Police Department. And the people doing this are young, with an average age of just 14 years old.
Our youngest death was 11, and that's really frightening when you think of an 11-year-old who passed away from doing this, from riding the top of a subway.
Now the NYPD is using a bird's eye view to help address the issue.
This is the drone that the NYPD, the New York City Police Department, is using to fly up over these subway cars to make sure that nobody has climbed up and is riding on top.
We look at the data, we look at the 911 calls, we see what's going on. Each week, each Monday, we come up with a deployment plan, and then we send our teams out there and we make sure we save lives.
These drone operations have rescued over 200 people since 2022. And the department refers to each subway surfing arrest as, quote, a life saved. What is your message to parents who are watching right now?
As a New York City parent whose son took the subway back and forth to school, know what your children are doing.
Anna Schechter joins us.
Yeah, honestly, like, and it is hard to monitor your children's like every move, but because like, how would you even know that they're really out doing this type of stuff? But like, this is one of those cases where you kind of like have to, if you know your kid is bored and is starting to exhibit some antisocial behaviors, you know, you might want to check in on them, you know. Check in on them a little bit.
Now, I mean, Anna, we were just talking about this in the break before this segment, how, you know, growing up in New York, you take the train to high school. Kids are out on this in the subway system all the time. And now this is something that more and more people are doing. What do the trends and the numbers show?
Well, they've seen an increase in the last 3 years, and they think maybe social media or that Spider-Man movie scene might be contributing to it. Kids think it's really cool, and they don't realize the dangers, even though there are messages in the subway system now, don't do this. But every week, the New York City Police Department is seeing this, and it's not just New York.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. The subway system saying don't do this. That's going to stop them. It's like, all right, there's a point where we have to try harder with like actual deterrence, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the issue. It's just, you know, like, it's a point of, you know, survival instincts, right? Where we need actual teach survival instincts. Cause I think that actually needs to be taught, cause some kids don't have basic survival instincts still, you know, their brains are still underdeveloped. And so you kind of need to tell them like, and not just in the fact of like, oh, subway surfing is dumb and subway surfing is dangerous, but in the fact of like, hey, like, if you do subway surf, you're not going to end up looking good afterwards. Like, for example, this next guy, this is an old story. This is an old story, but I feel like this is kind of the same case of like how those no smoking commercials used to be. They're like, oh, don't smoke, and then you see like this like old lady or whatever, and she has like a hole in her neck, and all this type of stuff is going on, and like she has to use a voice box to talk. That scared me. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, you know what? You're right. And that scared most of Gen Z as well until they started making those e-cigarettes that like they you have flavors like, oh, this is bubble gum. And then people started, yeah. But anyways, yeah. So those type of commercials are like, you gotta traumatize kids a little bit. That New Jersey Transit thing that we watched, that New Jersey Transit PSA that we watched last stream, that type of stuff, well, the first one, the original one, that type of stuff is actually pretty scary, And so, you kind of need, I feel like we need to go back to scaring kids and to not actually doing stuff. And like one of these cases,
Subway surfer.
This kid, I think he might be 17 now. I don't know how old he is anymore. But he used to Subway surf, and he actually survived, thankfully. But it gave him life-changing injuries, and so like, kind of giving kids like sometimes kids need to see like real life like effects, like real life like issues in front of them, because telling them isn't enough, right? So I think stories like this, where it's like, hey, this could be you could end up not looking cool after this, is probably more of an effective way than just saying, just don't do this. Yeah, because rail safety should definitely be in every single school. But it's one of those cases where it's like, you got to actually, like, kids aren't going to believe you all the way, and that's the unfortunate part. I probably, if I didn't see all those really, really bad smoking ads, then I probably wouldn't have believed them either way either.
Surfing has become a very dangerous and often deadly stunt among young people in the city, with at least 6 people dying this year.
All right, now a teen who suffered a severe brain injury while riding trains is urging others to think twice before doing the dangerous activity. Fox 5's Richard Giacobas has more on the message she's sending.
It's a dangerous trend that has been circulating social media for more barreling down the tracks.
I have like a bad kid friend group. But I wasn't a bad kid.
17-year-old Terrell Ismail was once a self-proclaimed Subway surfing pro, a challenge he accepted multiple times so he could impress his friends.
What are you gaining out of it? Some virtual views to make you the most popular kid in your school?
It was June of 2022 when Ismail made a decision that ultimately altered his life forever. It was on his girlfriend's birthday when he went subway surfing on the 7 train heading towards 111th Street when his head slammed into an overpass. He fell off and blacked out.
Obviously I saw it, but the amount of speed the human brain would have needed to process what to do, I would have already been there by the time. More forward.
It's really good that he's doing this type of stuff, because, I feel like if this was me, that I probably, and I think a lot of people just wouldn't say anything because it's embarrassing. But the reality of it is like, bro, like, him actually talking about this stuff is saving lives, because then people are not going to want to do it, If you actually talk to somebody who was literally affected by a subway surfing accident, then you're going to scare kids into not doing it anymore. And I think that's honestly like the most effective way into stopping kids from subway surfing. So big up to him. I think there need to be more like serious talks about this type of stuff, because right now, all I see in the media right now, even though it's like, oh, don't do this, or don't like be stupid and get on a train and subway surf, they're typically like the media is actually glorifying the subway surfing more than they're actually saying like, hey, like let's not do it. So, you know, like they're like reverse saying that they're almost like reverse PSAs, which is kind of sad. But yeah, you know, this stuff affects real people, and it's honestly something that is recently, even this week, has been really bad in New York. So out of like even all the transit stuff that I typically get on my feed, is actually just been this, and maybe that's because I watched that PSA from before, but you know, I think that, you know, it kind of got my attention to the fact where I was like, I probably should eventually like make a video or like talk about this type of stuff in a way that could possibly, hopefully reach somebody out there. But anyways, all right. W stream, you know, and I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we get like an actual story. I want I want something actually happening. I don't know if there is any real like I don't know. Are there any like news stuff like going on like that we should be expecting coming out of public transportation this week? I don't know if anything's opening. I don't really have anything on my calendar for content when it comes to stuff opening. So, oh well. Yeah. Anyways, W stream everybody. I will